Well, hello there. I'm a random stranger on the internet named Joshua, and I will never eat artificial meat. Just wanted to let you know that. Bye now. No, but really, it's become a little more prominent in the news over the last few years. This whole desperate push to create an artificial meat that tastes as good as real meat. I find it ironic because you would think that the idea would be to get away from that kind of taste and feeling. It's very akin to when somebody quits smoking and they start vaping, for example. They might want a vape juice that's more fruity rather than tobacco flavored because the idea is to get away from that, you know, that connection, that addiction. And when I say addiction, I say that because the human mind is hardwired to want to eat meat. I firmly believe this. I don't think there's any way around it. I think maybe there might be rare instances where people can find a way around it. But generally, most of the vegetarians of my generation, which were really the first real vegetarians, during the 80s and 90s, that's when vegetarianism, I guess, evolved into veganism. The point of not eating cheese, not eating eggs, anything having to do with meat. I met my wife in 1998, and she's been not a vegetarian, but she's very selective about what she will not eat beef, and she won't eat pork. So for the past 25 years we've been together, she's never eaten any beef or pork products, and she will still eat fish. She'll still eat chicken, eggs, dairy, things like that. So therefore, she's still getting some of the proteins that she needs. The thing that vegans and vegetarians are missing, especially vegans, is the certain aspects of meat that you cannot obtain from plants. I'm not going to sit here and spit science because there will be somebody who will dispute that science. They will say, no, that's not true. You can get that from this source. You can get B6 over here. You can get B12 over here, whatever it might be. But there's really no arguing that if you need some nutrition, the quickest and easiest way to obtain maximum nutrition is to eat a piece of meat, whether it be steak, chicken, or otherwise. Now, pork is a disgusting meat. I avoid it. I'm not a big fan of pig. I love bacon, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to cows, they are extremely peaceful animals. Nobody wants to see a cow die for their food. Sorry to put it bluntly, but that's what it comes down to. Vegetarians have an issue with animals being killed for food. The reason I'm making this video is multifaceted. I'm actually getting ready right now to get up, get my coat on, and take my kids down to Five Guys. Now, Five Guys has an epic hamburger. I mean, they are absolutely delicious. And yeah, they're a little pricey, but I think food is one of those things that you can always justify. Good food. And it's my belief that going and eating a simple hamburger from Five Guys is going to be a better bet and a healthier bet than, let's say, going somewhere and getting a full salad, like a chef's salad at some nice restaurant, right? You've got lettuce. You cover it with dressing. You've got random toppings, but really none of it adds up to the maximum protein package that you get with meat. And I know this not just because of the science that I've read, or the data, or the fact that we have canine teeth, and that we are omnivores, and that genetically and historically we've always eaten meat. But that when I eat beef or chicken, I feel good. I don't just feel good short term, I feel good long term. It was long ago when I was a teenager, maybe in my 20s, when I realized that if I ate a steak the night before, I generally didn't get hungry the next day. I mean, I would still eat, of course, but I didn't feel famished. I never got to the point where I was exhausted. Your body will hold on to some of those nutrients. Sorry, I've got a phlegm there. and use them when it needs them. In fact, one thing that a lot of people don't realize, which when I learned I was surprised as well, that when you eat meat, your body does not absorb the proteins. Your body does not absorb the proteins. It rather takes those proteins and it takes them apart into their separate amino acids. Then it can use those amino acids to rebuild and reconstitute whichever proteins it needs for its functionality. So you can take amino acids as a supplement. You can take various vitamins as a supplement. But here's where it gets kind of funny. Beyond meat, fake meat, whatever you want to call it, the fact that they're not just trying to make something that tastes like hamburger. They are so desperate to make it taste like hamburger that they have found a natural source for heme, Heem, which is something found in blood. It's what gives it that flavor, and they found an artificial heme from soybeans. I don't know how they do it, doesn't matter. The point being that artificial meat contains so many potential carcinogens, potential poisons, insecticides. There are so many different chemicals used in this process that it is going to probably end up, in retrospect, being one of the most toxic foods humans have ever produced. And there will be people lining up to buy it for probably 2 to 3 times more than an equal amount of meat would cost. And this doesn't even get into the lab-grown meat issue. My thing is this. Animals eat other animals. It's a horrific idea. It's the fact that everything consumes something. And if you want to talk about vindication or feeling, unjustified in killing cows, just remember the smallest creatures of this world will kill and eat you. Maybe bacteria or virus will kill your body, and then the rest of the worms and the beetles will eat you up. That's just reality. So nobody wants to see a cow suffer or a chicken be cooped up in a whole bunch of, with way too many, chickens in one area. You've got so many problems with factory farming and ranching that it's easy to see why people are disgusted by it. But it's really important to remember that meat is still one of the most beneficial, nutrient-rich foods that we can find. And as I said, yeah, it's expensive. But one thing a lot of folks don't realize is that most meat, including hamburger, pork, dairy, chicken, it's all subsidized. Subsidized by the U.S. government, meaning that our tax dollars go in to pay these ranchers and farmers for their various foods, whether it's, vegetables or wheat crops, soybeans, whatever it might be. The cost we pay in the grocery store for meat is much less than what it actually should cost. It's the same way with gasoline. In Europe, they might pay $10 a gallon. Here, we complain about 4 or 5. It's okay to complain, but looking at how bad it could be and realizing that so much of this is subsidized should give people pause when they think, oh man, that's like $5 a pound for that hamburger. Get it anyway. It's the good hamburger. Buying the good hamburger, buying the good chicken, buying meat that is produced locally as best you can make that difference between feeling like you're eating some Tyson factory farm bullshit. I absolutely hate Smithfield, Tyson, all these major producers, the factory farming, the way that they take over these small ranchers and then they do it their own way. And they don't pay the farmers enough. They never get the cuts that they should. Even when meat goes up in price, the meat, the money doesn't go to the producers, to the actual people who deal with the animals, if you will. And that's a whole different story. But as far as meat goes, we've got to move past this idea that people should be vegetarian. It's just not reality. It's not conducive to a healthy lifestyle. And most long-term vegans will tell you that they are feeling unhealthy. This is something that so many ex-vegans have been chastised and harassed for, because there are plenty of well-known, famous, say TikTok or Twitter, YouTube vegans that said, all right, I had to eat meat. I was completely losing my mind, and I feel so much better now that I eat meat. And instead of others saying, oh, maybe I should too, they say, no, you're an idiot, you're a jerk. You know, they get chastised consistently. But let me just put it this way to finalize this. You're all welcome to eat what you want. We all know this. I'm not telling you you should or shouldn't eat meat. I'm telling you that some of us choose to eat meat, and we should not be bothered by any of you who don't eat meat. I don't care what your reasons are. We don't want to hear your virtue signaling about not eating meat. But that's with humans. Adult humans. Just do me one favor. 2 favors, rather. Number 1, don't force your children to be vegans. They will be raised malnourished. They will be unhealthy and unable to fight off certain diseases. And I guarantee that any kids who are raised not eating meat ever will be much unhealthier than their counterparts. And if your virtue signaling is more important than your children's health, so be it. But that's something I stand by, and I'm sure the data would confirm that. Number 2, please, for the love of God, don't buy vegan dog food or cat food. If you want to be a responsible pet owner, and you want to have a pet in your life and in your family, a cat to purr on your lap or a dog to snuggle up with you or go on walks, you're taking a responsibility to feed that animal what it eats in its natural environment. And I'm going to break the news to you. Dogs eat raw meat. Cats eat raw meat. Now, I'm not going to get into the debate about cooking meat. The truth is that cooked meat is actually easier to extract certain proteins from. There is a benefit to feeding dogs raw meat. There's a benefit to feeding them cooked meat. I've had people get on my case for giving my dog T-bones because my wife works at a steakhouse. So she brings them home steaks people don't eat and like T-bones, and she loves it. But my dog wants meat. She does not want kibble in a plate. If I pour those little clunky nuggets out, she just looks at them like, what the fuck is this? This is not what I eat in my environment as a dog. Dogs have sharp teeth. Sharp teeth are not designed to crunch cereal. And, I've always known this, but it's hard as a dog owner. You can't always just buy your dog meat, but you should. At least try to give your dog as much meat as possible, and your cat. Your dog and cat are never going to be vegans, and they will never be healthy animals if you don't give them what they naturally crave. So that's about all I got to say. I think after all this talk about beef, I'm getting hungry. I better get down to Five Guys and get myself my burgers. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, for what it's worth, I'm not here ranting or complaining because I'm not a vegan and I don't care. I don't have any gripes with people who choose to be. As I said, it's about not forcing your children or your pets or those who depend on you into being vegans too. If it's a choice you want to make, you can discover on your own that it's not a path that's going to lead to health. And I'm definitely not going to support a full carnivore diet either. That's ridiculous. There are certain instances in our lives where one diet might work for a while, but God, people, it's all about balance. We know that. You don't need very much meat on your plate. We're not talking about monster hamburgers with 5 patties. People who eat a full half-pound, full-pound burger, that's not necessary. Just a little bit of meat, some veggies, some grains, the basics. We do our best because as humans, we don't have a real list of what to eat. I was taught growing up the food pyramid. Milk was on the food pyramid. Milk is not necessary for, but I still drink milk. And it's because I was programmed for it and I like it. But ultimately, we find what works for us by eating it. Peace out. I'll see you next time.